Hi, guys. I want to hide myself in here. I feel like I like the light. My daughter cannot come back again. So I was watching Family Feud Africa, and I couldn't believe the things that were said and done in there. I was like, some Africans are very uncomfortable with this. So I feel like, yeah, there were things that I feel like Uncle Steve could have been warned about. I think very serious things that actually make the show. Um, mm, Africa is really diverse, and we have this language barrier, and it's not like one language English like it's in America. So like one of the things that they should have definitely have done in the show was to definitely get, you know, I think a translator or something like that. Because some questions you can hear that if this person got this question in their language, they would actually have gotten it right. They were really disadvantaged by the English that they had to be asked in. And it's the case in Africa. We don't speak the same language. We don't speak English only here. And another thing is that let's say there is done, by more than 50% white. I'm saying to you that survey is not done by 50% black and 50% or whatever, because the answers are more white. If you live a white life, you might get those answers right. But if you're just a regular black person, and you are a regular black person in that sense that you need a translation of those questions, you might get most of the answers wrong. I say that they get more than 50% of the white people to survey, because you hear that the answers again they're very white. I have a few examples, like the question where they ask what you include in your braai besides meat. So basically, what can you have in your barbecue? For the ones who don't know what a braai is, every black person, pap is gonna be 56 if 50% of the black people did that survey. But pap was 10, and that tells you, and rolls were 36 or something like that, and salads with things that we black people and most of us don't even include in our, and even if we do, I feel like if that survey was done again by more than 50% or at least 50% of the black people, pap would have had number more than 10. That's one of the example. There were so many other examples here that I felt like if the survey was done, because the living conditions in Africa, again, everything with us, culture, everything with us is, you see that that there is a barrier. There is always more sides than one. It's not just one culture here. So it needs to be inclusive, your show. That means that your survey should not have only white people or more than should have normal black people also answering on those questions, so that normal black people can be able to also get some money for their charities on that show, because otherwise it's going to be only white people winning and getting money on the show, because again they will answer for what can you include in your braai. They will definitely say rolls or salad, and that number is 56 and what 30 or something like that, and pap gets 10, and pap is what we black people will include, and it would have been 56 if the survey was done partly by 50% of our black people. So I know that Steve Harvey is a man that believes in uplifting people. He says his African name is Mutusi, so since he's Mutusi, I know that he wouldn't be happy knowing that in his show in Africa we are actually being outlined as Africans in that show. It's very funny because it's a comedy or whatever you would like to call it, but in the end of the day, people are making money for charities there. And so I think charities should just start sending only white people. Send your white employees, because they will get the answers right, because again, they're living that life. That survey is done for them. There is many other examples, many other examples I could give, but to go on, because it's not just one thing that I wish they warned Steve Harvey about. I also wish that they warned him about that fact of a language barrier. If for example, a person was asked, what do you put in the what is the ingredients of kota? The white South Africans already call that size of bread kota. We call it kota when it's got everything inside, including the bread. But they call it kota maybe when it includes the chips and whatever. So you can never, as a black person, not include bread as one of your ingredients, which is something that the survey would not understand, because the survey, again, is more than 50% white. The survey, if it was also black, bread would have been an answer for ingredients in kota, because for us, kota is not the size of that bread yet. For white people, that kota, it already means that bread, so they're never going to include that bread as their ingredients when they give an answer. I hope that is understood by some. I know that some might not understand that part, but that is also something that shows you, if the survey was done, hopefully with more black people giving their survey, then we would definitely get be advantaged as black people on the show when they come to the show. So the translator there could also have been something that was useful, because it could have translated to the women in the sense that it made them clear that the bread is not included as one of the ingredients that they are looking for. In their language, it would have made some kind of a clarity. But in English, it didn't give them the clarity that a Boer knows. A Boer knows that kota is already that size of a bread, and we kota is everything in the bread. So anyway, I've already given you 2 examples of why I think that the survey is done by, mostly white people than the black people. And so in return, it confuses everyone. Even the ones who are there get confused sometimes. The other thing is that there is no master of pronunciation in South Africa. It's our motto. If somebody's gonna speak English, because of being free, finally, Uncle Steve, we in South Africa, we are not proud of ourselves when we can speak English better than the other person. And we are not going to laugh at that person, and we are not going to make it something that people are now laughing at. But when I saw one of the videos, I think it was in Nigeria or something, but the lady was trying to say, I think he said, what can you use to get to work with? And the lady said vehicle, in the way that they say it where they live. And that's exactly why they needed a translator everywhere he goes, so that person can make it clear to Steve before he starts laughing or starts finding it funny how it sounds and stuff. Because in Africa, when you are laughing at somebody who can't say English in that way that you want, we find you quite silly. I don't want to say and bash Uncle Steve, but it really felt like Uncle Steve, as he's laughing at the one who can't say vehicle the way he feels is correct, it kept on sounding like, I am more English than you, Uncle Steve laughing, I am more English than you, I'm more English than you. And when you look at him, he's also black, so you know that there's something something not right here. We shouldn't be laughing at each other about a language that doesn't even belong to any one of us. So it should have been a moment of, I think about quickly. In Africa, that's how we deal with it. You think, what can this person be saying? Because of course, they understand what you are asking them. Only you can understand what they are saying. But I felt that Uncle Steve thought the woman maybe didn't understand the question, and that's where I find it weird, because he should know we can understand English, but we don't put it as the first thing. So I feel like every country of Africa you go to, please try to get a local translators who can help you to not, be able to show as a person that I know you are. I know that you are not a person who's mocking, because if it was a white person mocking at somebody who's saying vehicle, it was a big deal, So it might not be a big deal because we know that you are not from here and you don't understand how we work. But with us, in South Africa or in the whole Africa in general, you have to include both sides so that in everything you do can be fair. You have to include both sides. And the people who might have done the survey and said to you, maybe you said, yeah, you must make sure also black people answer, they didn't get all the black people they should have gotten. Here you need to kind of also go into the location. People might live in the suburbs now, but they were raised by those locations. Their answers are going to come from the location, point of view. So you must go to the locations and go everywhere else to get your survey done. Don't just go to the suburbs or whatever, because the survey is effing up a lot of people. And I see a lot of people getting shocked, like, why is my answer not taken? But I explained to myself to say, yeah, because if the survey doesn't recognize PAP as the main thing, it's the one that should get more points for Braai besides meat, then it's obvious that the survey was not really done amongst most black people. Again, it would never have been the case. There is more. Another thing that I feel like they should have warned Mr. Steve Harvey about was that in Africa, our living arrangements, the culture, everything is very colorful in our everyday lives. So he will never be able to get the same answer from a black person who's living or has never left in a suburb before and things like that. He will never have the same answer. And you will, if you are from here, you will know if the answer came from a white person or a black person. If you are observant, you will know the answers, and it's not profiling. This is when you know that many people will talk according to their experience and their experiences, their environment, and what they have seen, what they have lived, and all of that stuff, which is again a big part of it being where you have been. So the influence around you, those kind of things. In Africa, it's really a matter. In Africa, it's not something, you can't put us all in one box. And so for the English, I feel like, yes, you need, for the survey, I feel like, yeah, you need 50%, you strongly need 50% surveyors for your surveys, because that survey is too wide for us to take. Some people are getting weirded out. Now, another thing is that in Africa, we would say other words before we say the craziest words. So if the survey expects us to say they put that a craziest answer as the one who's got more points, it's not. You have seen that most cases for us it's not the case. We are more conservative people, and people who are married in Africa, we have this way that you gotta behave in a different way. And we as African women, and me as an African woman, yes, I hear people say you are beautiful, but when it's a man, me as an African woman, I don't want it to go more than once. If you say it once, okay, don't say it again. Don't say it the third time and the fourth time. Like, don't make me blush on TV when I'm married. Like, this is Africa. Africa, we keep the respect everywhere we go. And I know that many South African women will agree with me. With the gender violence, we have realized that men who have power actually use women, and they make women giggle and think they can get everything they want. So this can be looked at that way in other people's eyes. So the danger of not wanting to be that person, that powerful man who wants to make women always blush, even though you are married and they are married, that one you stay away from. When you are in Africa, you try to be more reserved and conservative, because even women in Africa are not comfortable with men who are too friendly and too, Mr. Steve Harvey, we know you are nice and everything, but again, when it gets personal to end up having to dance with someone. That woman, I think she was colored, but I think if she was black, woo, I don't know if she would have danced with him. I don't know if she came with her husband. But then again, yeah, as a black woman, I don't know. I wouldn't dance with a celebrity, whether I'm in his show or whatever. If I'm with my man, the only dance video you will see is for me and my man, unless I'm performing and singing and whatever. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we love Steve Harvey's show. We do love it, but we do really hope because it's very funny and everything. But I know that they didn't want Mr. Steve, because I know that Mr. Steve is probably surrounded, by less than 50% of black people. So, and if if he's got them, I think in a Model C, they don't really know how how you must be operating. You have to be operating in Africa and South Africa. We operate in an equal level. The businesses know, if you hire people, you have to have 50% black and 50% of that, because what you want to do is to make sure that we are pushing all sides up and not just one side up. So this show, with it survey being done by more than 50% of white people, is an issue, because I know that Mr. Steve is not onto that. I know that Mr. Steve is on Black Lives Matter too, and that he wouldn't want black people to be disadvantaged on his show by not understanding his questions, or by feeling offended by him laughing at what they say, at how they speak their English. Because again, in Africa, it is offensive, and people didn't tell Mr. Steve Harvey. I love you, Mr. Steve Harvey.